Hello, hello, can you see? Oh, I think I see something. Excellent condition, okay. Let's see. Okay, we're live on the studio. Still not too clear on how to use this, but let's see if this works. Okay, FaceTime, our HD camera. Okay, that seems to be on. Hey, we go. There's the latency. So we're on. I think we're live on YouTube, and it is what is it? It's. Oops, I knocked my my microphone. All right, I don't know if you can hear me. Let's just check if the microphone's working. There should be a way to know if the microphone is working, and I apologize. Uh, how can we check? Let's see. All right. Well, I guess I'll make the assumption that in fact it's working, but maybe not know for sure. And what I'll do is just welcome you to Conscience Land. It is the 3rd of January 2022, and this is the New Year's revolution. We are online. We are, uh, you know, uh, it's a it's a new year. And oh, man, 2021 was pretty bad. At least some of you who receive my newsletter, you'll know that for me, it was pretty challenging year. And are we going to be better this year? I certainly hope so, but I wouldn't count on it. I think that there's a number of different types of people in the world that we see evolving, coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. We've heard about the denial people, the denialists. We've heard about all kinds of different types, and I think we see now that well, um, there's denialists. There are also people who are preppers. There's preppers. There's survivalists. Um, there are apologists. I heard that one just recently. Apocalyptic apologists, and yeah, you know, uh, there's people who are well, there's the scientists and the sort of the pragmatic people. Um, I did have a nice card here where I wrote down a few. Yeah, the doomers, the preppers, the doomers, the narcissistic nationalists. This is an interesting group. I see the billionaires. You know, that's another group of people. Is the billionaires. Um, so we've got, you know, I must look this up. I haven't done any research into this just yet. I just wrote these names down because these were the things that I've been thinking of and coming up against, I suppose, in Conscience Land and in the Conscience Verse, because you know the survivalists. Who are the survivalists? The survivalists are the ones that think they're going to make it happen by themselves. They're going to hide out in their little cubby holes, their little, you know, their bunkers, and they're going to have their canned food, and they're going to be underground, I guess, for a period of time. They're going to have all their guns to shoot people, um, and they think they're going to make it alone. And you know, they might for a week or two or 5, maybe 6, even weeks. But eventually they'll come out and they will be not very well respected. I would suggest by the people around them, and they will lose everything, maybe including their lives. The doomers, the doomers. Who are the doomers? The doomers are those who I would say they are there's many sub-classifications of doomers, but one of the doomer groups is kind of just depressed people. They are, feeling like victims. It's them. The world is happening to them. It's their lives that are being destroyed. They don't really think in terms of, well, what could they be doing to help others? They think more in terms of, well, let's drag everybody down to our level. Um, and it's mostly depression. It's the lobster thing, pulling the lobsters down into the pot. Doomers say we're not going to make it out of this, even though we don't know. We don't know if we're going to make it out of this, and certainly not all of us will, because all of us will die at some point. So, and maybe earlier than later because of pandemics and other things, but we're all going to go at some point. So the doomers are saying, well, civilization is going to be destroyed. Well, maybe. And, if you're around long enough to find that out, well, maybe you're going to be around for 10 years, maybe you're going to be around for 50 years, maybe you're going to be around for 100 years, maybe you'll be around for 1,000 years, and maybe you'll see the demise. But I'm guessing that very few people alive today over the age of 30 or 40 or 50 will see the end of civilization. I don't think so. That's my own view, of course. And then there's preppers. But this is not the end of the list. But preppers are also an important group, because preppers are about preparing. Now, there's some people who are preppers that are preparing as if they're survivalists, and they're preparing. They're going to have all the kit and all the gizmos in their big bug out bag, and they're going to have a plan of where to go and what to do and so on. And that's good. Actually, it's very good to have that kind of thinking ahead, because I think what happens when you do that is you realize what can you bring with you. You're going to bring a gun. You're going to bring a can of soup. How many cans of soup are you going to bring? You're going to bring powdered soup. Well, what are you going to hydrate it with? Water. When you realize that water will be so valuable, how are you going to find the water? I'm not talking about the day after or weeks after. I'm talking about years, right? How are we going to survive not just the post-apocalyptic time, but how are we going to live and thrive? And of course, the answer to that is in communities who have similar approaches. I mean, they have, they are preppers, they are survivalists to a certain degree, but they're not doomers. The doomers in the communities will be a problem, because then you'll see that, the people who are always, oh, everything's bad, oh, nothing's going to work, oh, I'm not going to try. Well, they're useless. We really don't want them around too much, because they're going to really be a problem. So we don't want them being doomy, right, and gloomy. We don't want them around. Then there's, I've got another, we could go through the whole list, but I'll keep this short just because this is just kind of a test video really for 2022. Maybe the first one, maybe you might make some comments, if you can even hear me, because I'm not even sure that anybody can hear me on YouTube. But there's the narcissistic nationalist. Now, this is some theme that I'm going to expand upon in 2022. And that's really, as we say in ConscienceLAND, there are no nations, right? The nationalisms, the countries, the idea of countries and named areas with borders around them. This is a pretty old concept. Actually, it's not that old. It's only maybe, 150 years old in the way we think of it in terms of the United Nations and so on. And that is even less. That's 80 years old or so. So this, and there's lots of new nations coming up all the time, but even this concept of nationalisms I think it's reaching the end of its useful life. It was useful for a period of time, but I think we're realizing we live on one planet and we have to live in ConscienceLAND. And the idea of borders is not very good. And so that's going to be a problem going forward. So narcissistic nationalism or nationalists, these are people who say, my country's the greatest, We are the chosen ones, my country, and that's a problem. Um, and the apocalyptists, Apollocopolists, I can't even say it. These basic apocalypse apologists, okay, apologists for the apocalypse. Um, and again, this is a definition that I will expand on later as I do more research, but my initial idea or my initial reaction to reading this is it's kind of the people who they're apologists, and it's not that they're going to do anything. It's just that they kind of feel guilty and they want to assuage their own guilt. Basically, this is the apocalypse. Can't even say it, but anyway, people who are apologists for the apocalypse. They're saying, well, we can't do anything else. We've got to go ahead with growth, and we've got to go ahead with corporations. We've got to go ahead with all the ways we've been doing things. Why? Because we're making money that way, and money will solve everything, which, of course, is crazy. And then the billionaires, I wrote down billionaires, and I put they'll buy their way out, right? Which, do you think that will work? No. Can't eat money. That's the first principle. So they're not going to buy their way out of anything. They will be in the same boat as everybody else in the world, looking for water, looking for food, and the money that they have will be pretty much worth nothing because what are you going to use money for? Even if you have a gold bar, what are you going to trade it for food? I mean, what are you going to do with a gold bar? It's I think we're entering a time when really these things, the whole concepts of values will be very, very different. And if billionaires, as is the case, at least from my limited exposure to billionaires, although it's not insignificant, I do know some billionaires. They are, and mostly millionaires, they are not very competent people in many cases. In business, they're competent. In collecting money, they're competent. But in social interaction and in leadership in a group where they don't have the floor because they have the leadership skills, they have the floor because they have the money, they don't know how to handle real leadership. And they just use their money as their leadership crutch. So it's a very, very different thing from what you see in like the movies, in terms of like what does the like military movies, like it's like military rank. It should be, and usually in successful military operations, it's based on competence. It's based on strategic understanding. It's based on knowing people. It's like the art of war. It's like Sun Tzu, the Chinese 2,500 years ago or more, maybe 3,000, I don't know, a long time ago, Sun Tzu with the art of war. I forget the very clever summary, but it's something like, the best art of war is to not go to war, right? And that should be the objective of all generals and military is don't do it, because that's where you die. Anyway, so the billionaires, I don't think we shouldn't be giving them so much credit, because it's just a credit in the sense of money. Okay, and then the deniers I've got as the last one here, and we'll close it off with the deniers. And we will expand at another time on these different types of deniers. But there's the deniers that are deniers because they honestly don't know. They really don't. They're so stuck in their programming and their early life education that they really don't believe that anything could be aside from what everybody in society seems to agree, is the best way to live, and they won't counter that. And then you've got other types of deniers who are really, they know what, like the criminals in the fossil fuel industry, who knew dozens of years ago, well, I think in the 1970s actually, they knew the destructive nature of their business, and they lied, and they continued to propose that lie right to almost to this day. They only started to fess up a bit in recent years, saying, "Well, we didn't really think it was, so bad, and anyway, we're gonna lead the new renewables revolution," which of course is a lie, also, and it's just kicking the can down the road. They're just trying to stay out of jail, out of prison. So that's the other kind of denier, which is a very, very evil one, because they're denying and they're fooling and they're tricking millions and billions of people into inaction on these issues. Why? Because the action would be to take out the fossil fuel companies, to stop them from ruining the planet. And of course, we're the consumers of their products, so we have to stop doing that ourselves. So there we are. There's the first live broadcast of the year. I hope the video and audio worked, and let's give it a try again in the future. So peace +1, join the fun. It is 2022. Never thought I'd make it this far. I'm very happy to be here, very grateful for my life, for your life, for everyone that's still alive. Let's do the most we can for young people in the future, and have an important and meaningful existence. So peace +1, join the fun in Conscience Land, in the Conscience Verse. We talk a lot more about the Conscience Verse these days, and that's what we're going to make sure that everybody is enjoying. So thanks a lot, everybody, and let's go. Let's say goodbye for now.